Hi friends, welcome. Now I'm going to be demonstrating my humble attempt at coding today. This idea I had originally came from this idea that wouldn't it be interesting to know how many times a person was mentioned in my archive? And what if there was more than one person? That I'd like to know how many times they were mentioned. And what if I wanted to keep this list up to date? Well, all of these things combined led me to create this little script. It creates a Zettel that does just that. It looks for every mention of a person from a list of people that I provide, and creates a Zettel, and I can keep this up to date, and it tells me both statistically how many times they were mentioned, and also gives me a reference of where to find the references specifically. So I'm going to demonstrate this, and we'll see where this leads. If you have any suggestions or comments, please feel free to tell me. Or if you use this in a particular way, I'd be interested in knowing. But thanks. We'll see you. Okay, let's get right to it. Here we're demonstrating the input file on the left, and on the right the output file for this mentions script that I'm going to share with you. The two files both are maintained within the archive. The first file is we'll talk about is the one on the left, the input file, and this file here is a list of search terms organized one per line with a new line at the end, an extra blank new line. This list can be just a plain list of terms like you see here. These are all animals. Could be people, could be processes, could be a whole variety of different structures could be listed. Then when run through the script, the output is the file that is on the right, and as you see, it will look through the archive and will tell you how many mentions for each term and give you the links for each of the Zettels with the term referenced in it. Now, we'll switch and look at a different one here. We'll look at the target on this side, and over here we'll look at the what I call the mentions. Here we see a list of people that I follow, and on the right, we see how many mentions we have of each person and the link that will take me to the Zettel with the mention of the person on it. This can be, this list of targets, which is on the left, can be reordered. We can reorder the people in the list and then run it again, and we would get a new list here on the mentions. Oh, was doing it the whole time. And to better demonstrate, let's put someone at the top of the list so we can see the list change. Then we'll run the script again, and we can see it's running, and voila, there's now updated. Now this can be updated at any time, so tomorrow if I mention Mary Oliver again, it will go up to 15 mentions, and over time that could become 20 mentions, and this is a demonstration of the output. Now we're going to switch here in just a moment. We'll take a look at the script itself and how we've created this. Okay, here we are. We're looking at the actual code. This, as the note says here, creates a zettel with the names and note links, which we refer to as the output zettel, from a reference node of names, which we call the input zettel. Now the user settings, you'd have to change these if you adopted this script, where you keep your zettels. The input zettel, this can be any zettel, and you can change this. This is something that I may enhance later, with the ability to set this differently than it is, but right now it's set so that you copy the zettel title and paste it into the appropriate spot here in the format with the .md extension for the input and output. The rest of this is just how this works. Creates a temporary file, changes the directory, make sure there's a particular output file available. If not, it creates one. It then looks at for every instance of the search term in your zettel and creates then the format of the number of mentions and the particular item. Then it's done. It puts the document in a temporary destination. It sleeps for 1 minute. This is because the archive's auto-saving functionality seems to interrupt this process, and we end up with occasionally getting half of our document. So we've done this, and then at the very end it moves it from, after it sleeps for a second, it moves it from the destination into the live situation, into your live zettel. Now let's take a look at how I actually use this. I copied that. That was all for testing. Now, in this, we use Automator, which ships with the Mac, and we create a quick action as set up as we have it here. And this then gets saved and stored into the services menu. Because we have said that this will only work in the archive, we need to switch to the archive, and we can look at the archive service menu, and there it is. I have a bunch of others also. So there it is, the mentions, and I have this attached to a shortcut code, Control Command M, and so here it's what we can do is we can, again, we'll move someone up to the top, different so we can see these. And when we run this again, Control Command M runs, and so we now have Seth Godin, Oliver Sacks, and Joe Pillin. Okay, why would we want to be doing this? Are there advantages over an ad hoc search for individuals? Well, there is, I think. This gives multiple people at the same time and separates and compares them. You can also use this to start or actually start and establish a structure note, picking the terms that you'd like to populate your structure note with. There is kind of an advantage for a person like me who's sort of a quant. I live a quantitative life. I'm always measuring stuff. It gives me some little jolt of dopamine to see the increase in the number of mentions of a particular popular author that I like and follow. And if you are doing a lot of research and have a long trajectory, maybe you're practicing or studying for your PhD, or you're practicing an art or a craft, and it's going to be a multi-year process. By picking some terms and following them over time, a person could see particular shift maybe in emphasis, noticing some areas increasing and some areas decreasing, or not increasing at the same speed. And that may have quite a bit of value in a real long-term project. This is, when I talk about a structure note, this is a first draft. You could get easily a first draft of the structure note and work from there. It's also a way, if you envision the list of terms that are searched as if it was an outline, and you can, of course, adjust the outline. I showed how to do that a little bit by moving things around, and you can then, if you envision it as an outline, it could be the outline for a paper. And then by creating the Zettel, you get a rough first draft of your paper. Something to paper essay, to something to move forward with. Now, those are my ideas of how this can be used. What are yours? Please share what ideas you might have come up with by viewing this and thinking about it. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to exchange dialogue in the forums.